As I mentioned, we are stuffing a whole lot of things into the post game today. We've got Tony. He's going to preview the UFC stuff this weekend. We've got Roy. He's going to review some hockey stuff for you. And we've got Pablo Torre aggressively trying to promote his show wherever he can within our feeds, bombarding us with things we should air that we don't totally want to air, but he's aggressive, and we are airing it in the post-game show. There's not a lot of room in today's show. But I want to ask Stugotz, based on what Tony's doing in the post-game, to tell me what he knows as a very, very casual watcher of UFC and a very, very casual listener to this show that he does while we're doing it.
What'd you say?
To tell me what he knows about Colby Covington.
Nothing. I don't know a single thing about Colby Covington other than I see him on a headline fighting like every 5 to 6 weeks. It feels like.
What do you know of his personality?
Nothing. I said I know nothing about Colby Covington.
All right, we've talked about him a lot, so that's a little bit surprising, right? Because
I wasn't listening.
I know. Well, I'm aware of that. I know. I'm familiar with your fake nods. I'm familiar with your fake laughs. I'm familiar with you being in the phone.
Second base Rangers?
Making bets during the game. Colby Covington is somebody who was a very pedestrian fighter for a long time and noticed when Conor McGregor cashed in with his mouth, if I become someone who's just totally outrageous, there's a lane for me here. And not unlike Stain and a whole lot of others in the business of journalism who have decided there's a lane to be a professional. I absolutely know that I can be someone who appears brave and a truth speaker if I just talk to a group of people who are going to think me a renegade. And then UFC is going to be MAGA Central, and Dana White's going to walk in with the Avengers of white supremacy, Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump. And there's absolutely a lane for, and I didn't think this would
Kid Rock.
I don't think that this. I didn't think that this would happen, Stugotz. The thing that we've made fun of Frank Martin for, the college basketball coach, of just saying pay the teachers, an easy stance to take, save the whales, an easy stance to take. Colby Covington is now someone who knows what the easy stances to take are in UFC to sell tickets to fights because he's just playing to the audience.
You hate America so much and you don't like this country that gave you $1 billion, leave it. Or come deal with me. You go to China, go to these sweatshops that you employ all these laborers and use these women and pay them pennies on the dollar to make your millions. You, LeJaron James, you're a coward, you're a spineless coward, and you're a bitch.
Was he talking about LeBron?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Misspoke there.
He's no longer a pedestrian fighter.
No, he was. No. He's a champion, and he's
now not a champion.
Well, he was a champion. He lost, and he is a marquee fighter. He is one of the stars of the sport. But let's play it again. I just want everyone to hear how he's going at LeBron James, because Shitstain did this the other day when LeBron sat during the anthem. There are places where you can get your clicks and your traffic, and look at how he is dressed, Stugotz. This is a man who is in character. He has realized he can say anything, do anything, because he's in a space where it will get rewarded with dollars. And this is the dirtiest business. I'm not talking about UFC, though that too. The fight business in sports, it's the dirtiest of all the businesses. And here he is making his money the way you can make it in a dirty business.
You hate America so much and you don't like this country that gave you $1 billion, leave it. Or come deal with me. You go to China, go to these sweatshops that you employ all these laborers and use these women and pay them pennies on the dollar to make your millions. You, LeJaron James, you're a coward, you're a spineless coward, and you're a bitch.
Was he trolling him there with the way he said his name, or he just misspoke?
He didn't land it, Yeah, you know how it is. You talk on the mic, all of a sudden you're like, what's his name?
We all have, yep.
Did he call him LeJaron James? I don't know what he called him. What's written on his jacket? Let me explain to the audio audience if you don't see his jacket. It's a Hooters in the form of a jacket, and it says America on it on one of the sleeves.
It does kind of resemble Hooters in that light, but it's like a red, white, and blue Make America Great Again thing, and it's autographed actually on the bottom left as a Sharpie autograph of former President Trump.
So during the press conference, he actually wore, this is 2 days ago or 3 days ago, during yesterday's press conference for UFC 296 this weekend, he wore like a revolutionary outfit where he was in like the blue America Revolutionary War outfit, like if he was like a person recreating the fights and stuff, with a MAGA hat on top of that. And this is who Colby is, right? Colby is a guy who, like you said, Dan, realized that Conor went over to Brazil when he was fighting Jose Aldo, said things about Brazilians, and I was like, oh, wait a second, I can just kind of be outwardly...
Said racist things,
Correct.
Clearly racist things about Brazilians.
Correct. And Colby saw that. Like you said, pedestrian fighter, wrestler, nobody really wants to see that in the archetype of fighters. You want to see
His
guys
style will not sell fights.
Correct.
Will not.
What he realized is, let me just mouth off and be somebody who I'm not. All people that talk to Colby outside of who his persona is say dude's a super nice guy, very amicable, but then the moment the lights turn on, he puts on this character, and a bad one at that, where he's misspeaking, like clearly rehearsed lines. He's basically Chael Sonnen if Chael was bad.
Has it helped?
I mean, has it helped? He hasn't fought in 2 years, right? Like the last time we saw him
He
in
fought
the
outside
octagon,
of Poppy's Steakhouse.
that's
here.
the last fight that he's been in, was when George gave him a 2-piece and a soda 2 years ago. And now he's getting a title fight, which is a whole other story. But he's just this guy. Like, that's who he is now.
But it's not who he is now.
Exactly.
It's
the
just
persona.
It's who he needs to be.
It's a
Yes.
total costume that he is wearing.
It has helped, though.
Oh, I think
For sure.
He's much more known
For
than
sure.
he would be.
I think he believes the stuff now. Maybe it started as an amplified bit, but I mean, the guy's. I don't think he's method hanging out at Mar-a-Lago.
No, but he's a fool who has been rewarded for foolishness, and why wouldn't he keep following it if you don't have to have any standards to make the money and your only point is I want money? Yes, he's been rewarded for it. In that world, in that sport, he's been rewarded for being a total phony. Like that's, you can tell me he believes it now, but he only wore that costume because he saw it could make him money. That's the starting point on it, and maybe he has now become that character because why wouldn't he? Hell, it must be fun to be famous as a guy who's getting applause everywhere for his opinions instead of a fighter who's just okay in wrestling, who's getting booed because his style is boring.
Where in life would Colby Covington, just a couple of years ago, if you told him you're going to get as close to the highest office in the land, like you're going to be invited to the White House, you're going to be that close to power. It's a huge draw, and yeah, I'm sure it just reaffirms some of his beliefs.
If it weren't for this bit, Colby probably wouldn't be in the UFC by now. Like that's where he was trending.
Because of the style of his fights, too.
Style of his fights, he has excellent cardio. He's a good grappler and wrestler. But the fact is that the UFC is littered with those guys that nobody knows.
Boring fighter, boring personality, had to change the personality. Can't change the fight game, so he changed his persona.
Stugotz, the bodies in football, we talk a lot about them being disposable. They're more disposable here. Dana White has a very profitable business where he doesn't pay these guys that much, and there are only a few stars. And Colby Covington's name happens to be one of them. And it ain't because he's that good, though he has been. Like, he won a legitimate fight. Like, he won a fight that surprised me that he won it to become a champion. And,
to get this opportunity.
He's Colby Covington as a fighter. I think we can agree that until recently, getting chances because he's got a big mouth, getting chances he wouldn't get otherwise.
No, he's a good fighter. There was a lot of bad blood in those Masvidal fights, and the way that Usman and the way that he won those fights was very convincing. He bullied guys. Not boring because
because he's winning, but you have to win with flair in that sport. Is what you're saying.
Right.
Stylistically, more difficult to watch, but once you have the personality blown out to that, and once you have the bad blood that you had with he and Usman and he and Masvidal, certainly, then there's really no such thing as a fight, because even if some guy's mounting you for some guy's mounting you for all the rounds there, you're like, wow, he's showing Masvidal, and it played out on pay-per-view. It also played out in front of Poppy Steakhouse, where Masvidal may have lost the formal fight on pay-per-view in what would have been seen as an embarrassment, but might have won the war, especially thanks to a good lawyer that he's constantly thanking.
All of a sudden, that lawsuit disappeared, too, and guess what? Colby's got a title shot, which is a conspiracy theory for another day.
Okay, and you will hear from Tony on the previewing of that stuff with Roy in the postgame.
We're getting really close to me being more than just what I am right now, which is super uneasy about just platforming this nonsense when it comes to characters like that, because I think we minimize them by saying he's wearing a costume and it's a cartoon character. I know he's he looks like he's going to be the candidate for the Republican Party, but what he's saying right now is objectively dangerous. It's hugely dangerous, and it's not getting the attention in the mainstream media. When he says he's going to jail journalists and jail people that have wronged him and put troops in the streets, that is straight up dictator stuff. We've seen him, and he is presently in dozens of legal battles, in part because he tried to reverse engineer a win and rig an election while blaming the other side was doing it while he was in power. And we saw what happened in the Capitol building. And I think most people are like me. We'll tally it up in November to get to a point, but it's starting to bubble up. And the rhetoric is now only getting more and more dangerous because now he is filled with this vitriol because he feels that he's truly been wronged. And the disenfranchised white guy bit is now his way of being.
What's the same costume?
You're talking about Covington?
It's the same thing that Covington is doing. He's gotten so much applause for it that it's become who he is because it's the convenient way to get to selling NFTs so you can pay lawyers because lawyers want their money up front from you because he's not getting any lawyers that he won't pay.
So did the dry cleaning guy. Wanted the money up front.
You're going to have to excuse me. I watched Leave the World Behind yesterday, and I am properly spooked.
Did you like it?
I loved Leave the World Behind. I loved it. I thought the acting was great. I thought the filmmaker did a really great job. It was easy to look at. I was kind of on my heels the entire time watching it. And I was telling Stugotz before the show, he's like, I use the word dystopian. He's like, you love that word. I'm like, no, Stugotz, I've just been forced to use it more than I'd like to. These
Stugotz,
movies,
would you define
It's getting a lot of run this week,
okay,
though, I got to be honest.
He says it a lot. Would you define dystopian for us?
I have no idea. I mean,
Well,
I just
take
know
a
Mike
guess.
says it.
Take
I
a
mean,
guess.
Not topian.
right, I want to live in a utopian world.
He's right about that.
Yeah. Nailed it.
But these films, and A24 came out with a trailer this week for the movie Civil War. It's like these things used to be things that you could fantasize about, and now they kind of feel like predictive analysis a little bit, and it's scary.
I liked that movie. I enjoyed the apocalyptic feel of that movie, but we're headed there. It isn't actually that Stugotz doesn't listen, because he does listen to other shows. He just doesn't listen to this one while we're doing it. So he just got information that Richard Sherman said last night that Brandon Staley should have been fired at halftime. And I agree.
It's hard to argue. I mean,
It's a great take. At Le Batard Show, Juju, put it on the poll. Should the Chargers have descended from the front office and fired Brandon Staley at halftime of yesterday's Chargers-Raiders game?
Richard Sherman also said that during the halftime show. So it wasn't like after the game, he's like, they should have fired him at halftime. During the halftime show, he said he should be fired right now.
At
They
42
should
to
fire him
nothing.
now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
42.
I don't think Brandon Staley would have even been surprised if that had happened at halftime. Stugotz, do you know who Luke Appling is?
No.
You don't know anything?
Baseball player?
He is.
Old-time baseball player or a UFC fighter? Heavyweight champ? Boring fighter?
No. Luke Appling is a former Hall of Fame shortstop, and I believe his nickname was one of the truly terrible nicknames throughout sports history. I believe his nickname was Old Aches and Pains. He's a Hall of...
So Billy.
Yeah, so Billy. I think we should nickname Billy Old Aches and Pains. That is correct. Luke Appling, I have no idea why Mike Ryan came across this video of Luke Appling at 75 years old. Is it a celebrity game of some sort?
So this video came to me because it was retweeted by a baseball account that I follow, and the origin of this is Baseball by B.S. Mile. And this is from a 1982 Cracker Jack Old Timers Baseball Classic. And you'll see before this video, in which a 75-year-old Luke Appling is at the dish. They'll go around the horn, and you'll see a lot of all-time great baseball players. I believe he hits this one off of Warren Spahn. Let's enjoy this video together. Keep in mind that Luke Appling is 75 years old at the time.
That's nuts. So you're telling me what's the ballpark that we're playing?
This
in?
looks like RFK because they said it was Washington, D.C. This looks like RFK here. So
Luke Appling, a former shortstop who was known, I think, for hitting line drives, not necessarily home runs. You're telling me at 75 he leaves the yard?
well, that was the payoff here.
He
but
didn't tell you that.
Yeah, I
He
did
didn't
not.
say a word. Yeah, he had 46 career homers, by
But
the
I
way.
guess, spoiler alert, let's all enjoy a 75-year-old Luke Appling hitting a home run at RFK off of Warren Spahn.
Billy McCovey is in at first base for the National League. Phil Cavaretta started at the bat for the National League. At second base, Red Shandies. Currently a coach of the St. Louis Cardinals and shortstop Pee Wee Reese. And at third base, Ernie Banks. In left field, Stan Musial. In center field, Hank Aaron. And in right field, Ralph Kiner. The catcher is Smokey Burgess. And the pitcher, Warren Spahn. And 75-year-old Luke Appling, who still works in the Atlanta Braves organization, facing Warren Spahn. Deep to left field. Way back there. Home run. Luke Appling. 75 years old.
Look at how he runs. He's going to fall down and break.
Oh, you gotta love it. Is that great, Red?
I told you when you were talking about him at the start, he could still swing that bat 75 or nothing.
Luke Appling rumbles around the bases. 75 years old. There it is.
Okay, line with a high five.
Hitting Spahny's pitch into the left field seats. Let's go down to the American League dugout in George Graham.
Luke Appling, 75 years of age, and Luke, you put some wood to that one.
Not necessarily short left field fin. I'm usually a right field hitter. But Spahny said, don't let me throw too many pitches. And I said, well, lay it in there. He did.
You've had some great moments. This one of the greatest for you?
Yeah, I enjoy being here with these good boys. You know, you don't see them all. See a few going around old time, but never all of them together like it is here. This is wonderful.
That's Luke Appling, a batting coach in the Atlanta Braves organization. He put it to good work tonight with a home run.
Wait till the boys see that I work with. I tell them the pitch was 400 feet.
Stugotz, I am going to be totally honest with you here.
Okay.
He grooved it.
Well, that was admitted to and confessed in the post game.
Classic Spawn.
If you had told me before showing me that video that there was a circumstance in which a 75-year-old person would have more trouble running around the bases than hitting a home run out of that ballpark, I would have bet all.
That was the easy part.
I would have bet all of the money that I had that he could do one of those things and not the other. He barely got around those bases. That was a labor to get around those bases. But he hit that home run legitimately.
You could have told me that those guys were all like in their peak form, and that's just what baseball looked like in that day.
Come on.
No, Chris,
You would have bought
Baseball
it?
was baseball.
it was legitimately after the 6th or 7th person. Chris said, they look so old. And we're like, yeah, it's an old timers game. Like, yeah, like that's.
Just thought that's what I imagined Babe Ruth looked like.
All right,
in
but,
his peak.
But can we be honest about this? Honestly.
Well,
It was only the white guys who looked old. Like,
Oh, Hammer and
Even
Hank.
Hank had the gut going.
Hank
Hank
looked
looked
a little
old.
stout.
Ernie Banks looked great.
Yeah, he did.
Hank, Hank did not look like Ralph Kiner or Red Shandies.
Have you guys seen that the famous Hank Aaron clip where he breaks the home run record? He looks 50 in that clip.
He was.
He was.
I'm just saying, like that.
What are you talking
no,
about?
But,
He was
that-
44
but
or
that's
something. He
actual
was-
baseball game. My point is the video of Hank Aaron breaking the home run record looks exactly like that video.
old people are so cute. This is adorable. They're so happy.
Video, can you put
Why
up
is
for
Siri
me
talking to me, Billy?
an assortment of photos there? I just want to put Hank Aaron next to Ralph Kiner and Red Shandies, and I want to revisit the claim that was just made.
I mean, he's closer to them.
Okay, no,
I mean, you're going
that's- no,
mountaintop here.
That's fine. I'm going to again show you photos I think that escaped your attention of the second baseman, Red
Dan,
Shandies.
I'm telling you, I've never been more attentive to any video we've ever played. Nothing in that video escaped my attention.
I'd like to thank you because it made me happy. So thank you for finding it, Mike.
You're welcome. Big baseball guy.
Again, Ralph Kiner, Hank Aaron, they do not look similar in these photos.
Yeah, but you've walked it back. Ralph Kiner, very clearly king of the mountain. Red.
I'm not walking it back.
Red.
I'm not walking it back.
There's Red.
That is how I have spent the last 2 years, feeling like that.
Like all red?
Is that a lefty second baseman?
He's all red.
What's going on?
I'm Luke rounding the bases.
Across his body every time?
Chris Cote, are you ready to update the polls? And during the polls, please, I'd like Ralph Kiner put up on the screen as well, so that Mike Ryan can walk back what he is claiming, that Ralph Kiner looked at all like Hank Aaron there. Start us up with the polls, Chris.
The polls are brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Epic razors, epically affordable. Find them in stores or online.
Is the dry cleaners the only place in America where loyalty still matters, besides Quiznos? 72% say yes. Did you know that the Cincinnati Reds football team existed? No, 86%. Have the Chiefs been getting away with serially cheating Have the Chiefs been getting away with serially cheating all year long so much that they should be called the Kansas City Cheats? 73% say yes.
The belly looks as big as the fupa there.
Yeah. Ralph Kiner is
Not much
eerily
worse than
similar to Hank Aaron.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dan, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Kiner could mash, though.
Didn't we speak out against body shaming like Monday?
Yeah.
I was looking
It's
at
fine
his
when
hair.
it's in 1982.
His hair.
It was
In an
his hair
old-timers game.
that I was doing it too.
Do you go to the bathroom while on the phone with your friends? This is split here. 53% say no.
Liars.
Is seltzer the same thing as club soda? 58% say yes. Is spaghetti sauce better the next day? 61% say yes. Did you learn last night that there were 2 NBA game balls for every game? 69%, nice, say yes. Should I keep going?
Yes.
The
Yep.
silence
I just-
is disconcerting, right?
doing
You're not
good,
getting
yeah.
laughter.
Are we still on air?
I'm watching you squirm.
Not only am I watching you squirm, I'm enjoying the idea that the silence is so profound that we can hear the insecurity in your reading.
Is Ohtani overrated? There was a lot of O's there.
They're zeros.
62% say no.
Wrong.
Oh, this is a big one for me here. Is honey a condiment? 63% say yes.
I agree.
What is more disgusting to eat? Pickled pig's feet or tripe with hair on it? Oh, God. 80% say tripe with hair on it. Those are the polls because I'm feeling uncomfortable.
There are more.
Do you drink or eat honey? 86% say eat. Too quiet, man. Is Puka Nakua a fun name to say? 94% say yes. I'm done this time for real.
Are there more?
Are you surprised that Mike Trout has the same amount of postseason RBI as Andy Pettit? Thank you. 53% say yes. That's it. 48% not surprised by that.
Jessica, do you mute bathroom time on the phone, or because I will use the phone in the bathroom, but I will mute so that it's not being heard. that
Well,
I'm
you
in
got to
bathroom.
mute the flush. I mean, come on.
How about the stream?
Mute the stream as well.
Because the stream, does
And the
anybody
hand wash.
does anybody in here not mute anything and just lets it fly?
I let it ride.
No,
I let
mute.
it fly,
I
yeah.
mute.
I like to establish on the front end I'm in the bathroom. So whatever happens from here on out, it happens.
That's where you're
No.
honest?
Yeah, yeah.
That's ridiculous, Stugotz.
What do you mean?
What's the point if you tell them? It's supposed to be like a thing between you and God.
So when they hear me flushing the toilet in a couple of minutes, they know that they're not surprised by it, you know?
Is filming something on your phone the most present you can be in that moment? 70% say no.
Wrong.
they're wrong because Stugotz believes that life is meant to be lived through the prism of your telephone. I mean, it's not a ridiculous thing to say, as many people as I see doing it. There's at this point, you're the weirdo if you don't have your phone up filming the concert or your meal, correct? I'm the strange person with my light on my phone, but it's in my pocket and it's not doing anything.
Oh, man.